Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Authors and Espresso. I'm your host, Nadia Gilkes, and I am here on a Saturday afternoon just doing a follow-up to my launch episode, my authorversary celebration. If you didn't tune into it, please go back and listen to the first episode. I would greatly appreciate it. And as I mentioned in that first episode, we will be releasing episodes on Tuesday. And for a time, we will have festival flashbacks on Friday. So you can revisit those festivals that I did during the pandemic. So I'm coming to you today with this offshoot of an episode because I'm a perfectionist and I have a need for accuracy, especially being an attorney. So I wanted to clarify or follow up on something that I said in my initial episode because I didn't want anybody out there to be confused. So for those of you who know me or for those who have read my book or followed me for any length of time, you often hear me talking about NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. And I mentioned that in the first episode as well. There used to be this organization called NaNoWriMo, a nonprofit that encouraged people during the month of November to write a manuscript, to write a 50,000 word novel during the month of November, and tens of thousands of people from all over the world participated in this organization, and it was long-standing. They'd been around for 25 years. No reason to think there'd come a time when they would no longer be. But when I went after the last episode to start, getting my account set up for this current year and, putting in all my details, I couldn't find the website. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I just forgot the website. Maybe I'm typing it in wrong. So I'm typing and I'm researching and I'm like, what happened to the website? Where's my account? And then I finally find some YouTube videos that NaNoWriMo is no more. And I was just like, I'm sorry, what? What happened to this very long-standing, very popular organization? I want to say they had well over 100,000 people in the community. I don't have the exact numbers. Obviously, now I can't log in and find it. But I was very surprised to find out that they were all of a sudden, abruptly, as of earlier this year, gone. So a lot of things apparently had happened. And sometimes I can be a little slow checking my email. So I didn't get to log in time and save my work, but they were plagued with a lot of different issues that they just could no longer overcome. Some of the issues appear to be financial. There were some very strong allegations made against some board members. And then there were disagreements on how they would handle AI as such a huge writing community and support for authors, both upcoming and established. I don't want to talk about the finances because I'm not part of the board or, I was just a regular member. So I really have no idea what the financial situation was. Nonprofits are hard to maintain. I believe they got most of their money from swag. You could buy coffee cups and pens and sweaters and all those things. I think they ran on donations. There was no membership fee to be a member. So that may have gotten hard to sustain over the years. I absolutely don't want to talk about the allegations against the board members. I read some snippets of that and quickly backed out of those articles. It's horrible, but it's out there. So you can find that for yourself. But I thought, well, this is a good time for me to dive into where I feel AI fits into the writing community and what my stance is on it as we move forward with Authors and Espresso and everything that I try to do to help upcoming authors and people self-publish their works. Because funny enough, I actually thought about this a few weeks ago as I was preparing to launch this venture. Because AI is such a big part of our world now. You can't even Google without an AI response coming up. You can't go to Amazon without AI telling you might want to buy this, right? It's literally in almost every corner of our world. So where does it fit, or where should it fit into the writing world? Now, I am very late to the party most of the time, and that also includes AI, things like ChatGPT or whatever other, Google Notebook, all these different programs out there. There's tons at this point that I don't even know. I have started using ChatGPT for some things. I know I'm not as efficient with it as others, but I'm always just very cautious about it. And especially lately at work, our conversations being centered around be very careful because attorneys are getting warned and soon they will start getting sanctioned for using AI because it makes up stuff. Like it makes up cases or it makes up what a case was about. And people are finding themselves in hot water leaning too heavily on AI, and it can be problematic. Of course, for writing, that could be a good thing. You want things made up, right? It's fiction stories are made up ideas. However, I'm really cautious about it because I feel like the beauty of being an author is that you sat down and you created a work after you let your creativity run free. You had this idea, you ran with it, you fleshed it out, you put in the hard work to bring this baby to life, and it's yours. If I feel like if you use ChatGPT or whatever service, this isn't a slight on ChatGPT because I'm very nice to my ChatGPT person that I have yet to name. However, I'm very kind to my ChatGPT person, whoever's in there. But whatever program you use, it's like if you put in a prompt and say, give me a story about a boy sitting under a tree stargazing, and it spits out a 2,000-word story for you, you didn't write that. You gave it a prompt, and ChatGPT wrote that. And what I would be afraid of as an author, especially if you're looking to publish these things, and I know people do, but if it spits out that story for you, it probably spit out that story for somebody else. And you can have multiple people creating very similar works because you're using similar prompts. You may not know it, but it's only got so much to draw from until more people upload more things for it to create and drive off of. So I would be, as an author, afraid to lean on something completely AI generated. One, it's not your idea. Well, it's your idea, but it's not your words. And two, somebody else could have the same story. Something else that I would be very careful about is you have no idea where AI generated apps are getting the responses to your prompts from. It could be drawing from an actual author's work. So you could be plagiarizing and not even knowing it because it could pull from my book or some other author's book and you have no idea if you haven't read the works to realize, this sounds really similar to so-and-so's works. And I think that's already been happening on Kindle. So they've put on some parameters, but it is a case where technology is moving much faster than how we can kind of oversee it or regulate it. So those would be two things that I would be cautious about. And in those scenarios, I would venture to say you didn't actually write it. And the beauty of being an author is you writing your works. Now, there are some ways that are probably great to use AI. Like, let's say you just want to brainstorm and say, well, spit out some ideas for me because I'm a little stuck on what to write about. Or let's say you know what you want to write about, but you're not good at outlining the book. So you have AI, ChatGPT, whatever program of your choice, give you an outline that you fill in as the author. You start putting your characters in there. You start putting your details in there. Or let's say you've completely written your work. It is very expensive to edit, or it can be. So maybe you upload your work to AI to do a quick initial edit to remove redundant words or to highlight, hey, this feels incomplete, or this is spelled wrong, or this is not the proper punctuation, or whatever. Maybe you use it as an initial editor to clean up the work that you have written. For me, there's a very thick line in the sand between AI as a resource and AI as the author. So I just felt like, well, this is a great time for me to say where I stand on AI. But at the end of the day, I'm not in your home at your computer writing your book. So you do what you feel is best. I'm obviously not the be all end all of writing, but at the end of the day, I just want everyone to be able to have a work that they're proud of and that they created. So think about that as you're moving forward. I know a lot of people are putting AI generated books out there. Some of them are able to make a quick buck and whatever. I want to put my work out there and organically have an audience and community build who appreciates my work. So to each their own on that. But in any case, I still consider November National Novel Writing Month. I grew up in the publishing world under NaNoWriMo, and that's going to be hard to die out. So I'm still going by what I learned from NaNoWriMo, as I think many other people will. There were people that participated in it every year for many years. I only participated in it twice, but there was a very dedicated timeline. October was the month that you prepare. You get your outlines. You start thinking about your characters. You start brainstorming and fleshing out chapters and ideas and all these things. And then November, you sat down, you made a plan, and you hit the ground running, writing 1,667 words a day. That's what it comes out to. And having this manuscript at the end of November that you worked so hard to create, but you're so proud of this first draft manuscript. And then in December, we rested. And then in January, you come back refreshed and you're ready to edit and polish your work. And hopefully by the end of that next year, you've got a work to publish. And so that's what I'm still going by. That timeline is not changing for me. I did express that in that first interview, so that's not changing for me. And hopefully as you listen and you start to think about your own works, hopefully you'll jump in. I feel like now more than ever, we do need alternatives since there is no more NaNoWriMo. I'm sure there are already alternatives out there, but I do hope to have write-ins. Right now in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to be Monday evenings for 1 or 2 hours per week during the month of November, because I felt like those were so powerful when I was writing my novel. I participated in in-person write-ins here in the Valley. And I also did some online write-ins where we were all on Zoom and, you'd have writing sprints. Okay, we're going to all be silent and write for 15 minutes straight. And then you take a pause and people would say, oh, this is what my book is about. I'm having a problem getting a character name. What would be a good name? Whatever people's questions were. It was just such a great community and a great time to come together for an hour or so and write with other people, because it can be a very isolating profession. So I still plan to go through that same sort of timeline. October, I'll be giving tips on time management and preparing to write down your novel, helping you outline all of that. November, we're writing. Doesn't have to be 50,000 pages. I've never sat down and written a 50,000 page book. I target about 25 to 30,000 words. I'm sorry. Words. For sure won't get 50,000 pages out of me. Words. So I kind of shoot for 25 to 30,000 words because that equals about 100 pages. And that's a very comfortable length for me. It's a novella of sorts. It's a quick read for the reader. It's easy organizational write for me. It gets too big for me, then it's hard for me to organize and outline. So that's what I shoot for. And you shoot for whatever feels right for you. Maybe you want a 25-page short story, or maybe you want a collection of short stories and you want to knock out your first one. Maybe you just want to practice getting in the habit of writing on a regular basis and you don't have something fleshed out right now. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a complete idea. But if you have it in your heart to write, I want us all just getting into a good habit of writing. And I think as you do that, you find that your creativity muscle starts to build and your ideas build on each other. And over time, you'll go from overcoming a blank page to being able to fill multiple pages in a writing session. So I just wanted to clarify that NaNoWriMo is no mo. I have checked my email. I have searched now that I found that little nugget. I've been brought up to date, and I'm very saddened. I'm very disappointed. It was such a great community to just log in and see, you could follow friends, follow people, see what the progress that they're making, see snippets of other people's works or an overview blurb of what their book idea is, and celebrate each other. And then the local communities that formed from it were so great, so that you can, in your town, whatever corner of the world you were in, find a little writing pocket. And I hate that that hasn't sustained the test of time, but with such a 25-year-long foundation, maybe one day it will reorganize and come back. I don't know. We can hope. I do hope. But until then, I am here. You can write with me. You can follow me. There are other communities out there, I'm sure. I will be spending a good part of the weekend just finding out what else is out there to plug into a bigger community. And I just wish you all well on this writing journey. So tune in. We have some great episodes coming up for this month of September, next month. And I'll be interviewing people all weekend, so I can't wait for you to hear their stories. And yeah, just keep writing, keep creating, and there is a writing community out there for you. So let's all learn, grow, and write together. Until next time, have an amazing time.